Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we cut through all the noise, straight to what you really need to know.
That's the plan.
Today, we're tackling something that causes a lot of stress for a lot of people. The visa application process. It's a real bureaucratic hurdle.
It certainly can be.
We've got a whole stack of sources here. Step-by-step guides, some mock US B2 visa interview dialogue, and actually several pieces looking at global personal finance.
Right. And our job today is to really distill what the people making the decisions, the visa officers, are actually looking for, especially, when it comes to the money side of things.
Exactly.
We want to turn that mountain of paperwork into, well, maybe not a molehill, but at least a clear map. We're focusing on the key words they use, like ties and assets.
Crucial terms.
Definitely. And then connect all that application detail to the bigger picture, personal finance, debt, even global recessions.
Yeah.
Because those big economic forces, they really affect how stable your application looks.
It's all connected. But before we get into the serious stuff, we absolutely have to mention this really unlikely, almost funny outcome in one of the mock dialogues we looked at.
Oh, right. The B2 visa applicant.
Yeah. Applying for a simple tourist visa, wants to visit his brother. The officer suddenly stops the interview.
And says he can't grant the tourist visa.
Right. But then he gives him a resident visa instead.
Just like that.
Because, and this is the line, the officer says he was the millionth person to apply for a visa.
Yeah, a fun little story. I suspect it's in there to kind of highlight how completely random and rare something like that would be.
1 in a million chance, literally.
Yeah. The reality for almost everyone else is that the outcome depends entirely on preparation, showing your real intent, and, hard evidence, especially financial evidence.
No lottery wins, just the paperwork.
Just the preparation.
Okay, let's break this whole thing down, starting right at the beginning.
Oh.
What exactly is a visa? More than just a stamp, right?
Right. It's the official permission from a country's government. It lets a foreign citizen legally enter, stay for a bit, or sometimes even exit.
But it's always for a very specific reason and time period.
Absolutely. And it might be a physical stamp or sticker in your passport, or increasingly, it's just an electronic record.
Now, the sources we looked at were clear. Countries don't just do this to create paperwork. There seem to be 3 main practical reasons for visas.
Yeah, that's right. First is security. Pretty straightforward, making sure visitors have, legitimate reasons for coming in, nothing worrying.
Okay, makes sense.
Second is control. Governments need to track how many people are coming and going. It's vital for planning things like infrastructure, resources.
Managing the flow.
Exactly. And the third is regulation. This lets the country set specific rules for your stay, like can you work, can you study, for how long?
Got it. And the type of visa you apply for changes everything. We saw the big categories: tourist, student, work, business, even transit, immigrant.
But the specifics are crucial. Like for the U.S., the B2 is that common one for tourism, vacations, visiting family. Very standard.
But if you're planning something longer, like studying,
then you need a different category. An F1 visa, maybe, for a foreign exchange student doing, say, an MBA. That's long-term study.
Or that J1.
Right. The J1 is more for temporary exchange visitors, often for specific cultural exchange or maybe short-term work programs, just a few months usually. Getting the right category from the start is step 1, non-negotiable.
Okay, so that leads us perfectly into the roadmap. For you listening, needing that shortcut through the process,
yeah,
our guides broke it down into 9 main steps. Pretty logical sequence.
Step 1, figure out that exact visa type you need. We just covered why that's key.
Step 2,
check the specific requirements for that visa. Everyone needs a valid passport, usually with at least 6 months left on it. But then there's proof of financial stability, travel plans, maybe an invitation letter if someone's hosting you.
And this next one seems critical based on the sources. Step 3, filling out the application form itself and doing it accurately.
Oh, absolutely. The guides really hammered this point. A simple mistake on the form, a typo in a date, getting an address wrong that can cause instant delays or even rejection.
So double check everything. Triple check.
Definitely. Then steps 4, 5, and 6 are more about logistics. Gather all your supporting documents, organize them neatly, apparently. Neatness signals you're serious.
Makes sense.
Then pay the fee, which is usually non-refundable, by the way.
Ouch.
Yeah. And schedule your appointment. Do it early. Embassy slots can fill up fast.
Okay, step 7 is the big one, the interview. We'll dive deep into that in the next segment.
Then step 8 is just waiting. Processing times can vary wildly. Days, weeks, sometimes months, depending on the embassy, the time of year.
So patience is needed.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
And finally, step 9, you get the visa, but don't just celebrate yet. Check it immediately. Make sure your name is spelled right, the dates are correct, everything matches. Errors happen.
Good point. So the big takeaway advice.
From everything we read, start early, be totally honest, follow every single instruction from the embassy to the letter, and keep copies of absolutely everything you submit. It's all about meticulous detail.
All right, let's zoom in on step 7.
Yeah.
The interview. This is often where people feel the most pressure, right? But the structure seems pretty predictable.
Very predictable, usually. The officer's main job is confirming, well, 2 things. Your reason for visiting and your stability. And they typically do that with 3 core questions.
Question 1.
Simple confirmation, really. Where are you going and why? So, final destination and purpose.
And the key here, according to the mock interview transcripts we saw, is being specific.
Exactly. You can't just say visiting the U.S. They want the state, the city, vacation to New York City to see the sights, or visiting my brother who lives in Minneapolis, or maybe attending a week-long business conference with Apex Corps in Chicago.
Specificity matters.
Yeah.
Okay, question 2 seems straightforward.
It is. How long do you plan to stay? Simple answer. 3 weeks, 1 month, whatever it is.
But the crucial part.
It absolutely must match what you put on your application form. Any discrepancy there is a red flag.
Makes sense. Consistency. Now, question 3. This is the big one.
This is where it gets really interesting, yeah. And honestly, this is usually where the decision gets made. The question is, tell me about the ties you have to your home country.
And the transcripts confirmed this is what the interviewer is most interested in.
Absolutely. Because, legally speaking, the officer has to start with the assumption that you might be planning to stay illegally.
Innocent until proven guilty doesn't apply here.
Not quite, no. It's more like potentially an immigrant until proven otherwise. Their main goal is to be convinced that you have strong enough reasons, strong enough ties that guarantee you'll return home when your visa is up. They need to feel certain.
Okay, so let's define ties. What are we actually talking about? The source material used an analogy.
Yeah, like imagining a rope tying you back to your country. What makes that rope strong? It's not just feeling patriotic, it's tangible stuff. Like owning a house or apartment, having a car loan you're paying off, a stable job you need to get back to, immediate family, a spouse, kids, maybe significant savings in a local bank account, things that root you there.
And you need to prove these things exist, not just say you have them.
Precisely. Evidence is key. The advice we saw over and over was essentially, come prepared, bring a folder. Even if they don't ask specifically, have things like bank statements ready.
Mortgage documents.
Yep. Mortgage papers, car ownership docs, maybe a marriage certificate. Critically, a formal letter from your employer. It should confirm you're on approved leave and state the exact date you're expected back at work.
Okay, but I have to push back a bit on that huge file idea. Doesn't that kind of inherently favor older, more established people? Someone who's had 20 years to buy a house, get married, climb the career ladder.
That's a really fair point.
What about a younger person, say, fresh out of university? They might not have a mortgage or a spouse yet. Are they just out of luck? Or is bringing a ton of less impactful paperwork just noise?
Excellent question. And yes, it's absolutely about the quality and relevance of the ties, not just the quantity of paper. And you're right, the system can sometimes seem easier for those with established lives.
So what does the source material suggest for younger applicants?
For them, the focus shifts. Instead of major assets like property, ties might be demonstrated differently. Strong proof of enrollment in ongoing university studies that you must return to finish is a big one.
Okay, future commitments.
Exactly. Or maybe documents showing you manage a family business back home. Or clear evidence of responsibility for dependents, like elderly parents who rely on you. These kinds of immediate responsibilities and future plans can definitely carry weight, even without a house or traditional assets.
That's a really important distinction. It's not just about wealth, but about demonstrable commitment.
Precisely. Which brings us neatly to some key financial vocabulary that kept popping up. We need to understand these terms. Let's start with sponsoring.
Right. What does that mean in this context?
Sponsoring is when someone else guarantees they'll cover your costs. Maybe a parent or a sibling who lives in the country you're visiting. They take financial responsibility, proving you won't run out of money or need public assistance.
Okay. And then assets. We touched on this.
Assets are basically all the valuable things you own back in your home country. Your house, car, stocks, bonds, investments. They show your financial footprint, your roots.
And the overall goal of showing all this, sponsors, assets.
Is to prove you are financially independent, that you have enough resources yourself to manage your trip without needing help from the host country or, ending up broke while you're there.
That whole idea of proving your assets are stable is a great jumping off point. Because, okay, maybe my job is my main tie, or I have savings, or I own a house, but how stable is any of that if the whole economy tanks?
Exactly. We have to zoom out a bit now and look at the bigger financial picture that influences how a visa officer sees your application strength. The stability of your assets depends on the stability of the whole system.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Recession. How did the sources define that?
Simply as a period when a country's economy is doing poorly, making less money overall. And the signs are usually pretty clear and concerning, especially if you're assessing someone's financial stability.
Job losses.
Widespread job losses, yeah. Companies shutting down or going bankrupt, people spending less money because they're worried, stock markets falling, all of that shakes confidence in individual financial health.
And understanding that kind of instability leads us straight to the issue of debt. The guides define some basic terms here too. A loan is just
Borrowed money. Simple enough.
a mortgage.
That specific type of loan you get to buy property, usually long-term.
And tuition.
The fees you pay for education, university, college, etc. Now, all these debts obviously affect how stable someone looks financially.
But here's where it got really interesting in the source material. The attitude towards debt varies wildly depending on where you are.
Massively different. And this cultural difference could genuinely impact how a visa officer views your finances, depending on their own background.
Okay, explain that, the North American perspective.
Well, in places like the US and Canada, there's this prevailing idea that taking on debt, especially early on, isn't just okay, it's almost necessary. You need it to build a credit history.
Right, that credit score everyone talks about.
Exactly. Banks actively push credit cards onto young people, like 18-year-olds, sometimes with free gifts just to get them started. The thinking is, if you borrow and pay it back responsibly, you build a good score, which you need later for big things like a mortgage or a car loan.
So a U.S. officer looking at an applicant with zero debt or credit history might actually find that a bit strange. Like, why aren't they participating in the financial system?
It's possible, yeah. It might seem unusual from that perspective. Now, contrast that dramatically with the view described in some European contexts, specifically Switzerland was mentioned.
How is it different there?
There, debt is often seen much more negatively, almost like a personal failing, or at least something to be avoided at all costs, a bad thing.
And the rules reflect that.
Very much so. The example given was pretty extreme. A bank requiring someone to deposit more money, like 700 francs, than the actual credit limit on the card, which was 500 francs, before they could even use it.
Wow. So complete risk aversion.
Total control, total avoidance of personal financial risk seems to be the priority.
So think about that. If a visa officer is looking at your application, sees you have student loans or credit card debt, how they interpret that could completely depend on whether they come from a culture that encourages building credit or one that sees debt as inherently risky.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating insight from the financial guides.
It really is. It fundamentally shapes the risk assessment. But, regardless of the cultural view on debt, personal financial stress, that's universal.
True.
Money problems happen everywhere. Job loss, wages not keeping up, unexpected medical bills, debt spiraling. Could be credit cards, could be tuition. And that stress is real.
And a visa officer knows that financial stress could be a motive for someone to overstay their visa.
Yeah.
Right, to try and find work or stability elsewhere.
That's definitely part of their calculation.
Yeah.
So showing you can manage financial stress back home through smart budgeting, knowing your needs versus wants, maybe having access to support systems or benefits that strengthens your case. The more financially resilient you appear at home, the more confident the officer will be that you intend to return. #outro.
Okay, so wrapping this up, our deep dive really shows that getting a visa successfully is kind of a two-part challenge, isn't it?
Seems that way.
There's the procedural part, meticulously following all those steps, getting the forms right.
Check, check, check.
And then there's the financial proof part, providing that solid, documented evidence of your stability, those crucial ties that pull you back home.
Absolutely. But as we discussed, the perceived value of those assets, those ties, isn't fixed. It's vulnerable to bigger economic events.
Right. You mentioned that source saying even unconventional lenders like the mob could go broke in a recession.
Yeah, a colorful way to put it, but the point stands. If a visa officer's job is to confirm that you, the traveler, are financially independent and that your assets are solid, Well, that raises a really interesting final question for you, the listener, to think about.
Which is,
When the entire global economy is shaky, when multiple countries are in recession simultaneously, and the value of everything, property, stocks, even cash savings, feels unstable or is falling, what does that do to how a visa-issuing country views the real worth and stability of a foreign applicant's assets?
hmm. Does the bar for financial independence change when basically everyone, everywhere, is feeling the economic pinch?
Does that threshold shift? It's a complex question with no easy answer, but definitely something worth considering as you think about how all this applies in the real world.